In today's video, we're going to talk about dairy and how it affects those with gut issues. Hello, my name is Janine and this is my channel, A Gut Feeling, where we talk all about gut health. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a dietitian. This is just my personal experience through studies and things I have implemented in my own life dealing with ulcerative colitis, and I'm here to share it with you all. And so today we're talking about dairy and its effect on our gut. Now, dairy tends to often be vilified and looked at as the bad guy, and while it does have a lot of negative effects if not eaten properly, there are some dairy products that you can eat and it will be easy on your gut. So if you've been on this channel, you know that I promote diets like the SCD diet and the GAPS diet. And diets like this, healing type diets like GAPS, SCD, even like the FODMAP diet, they eliminate lactose because inflamed guts cannot digest lactose. So the lactose enzyme in our gut, which is what breaks down lactose in milk, it's the very last to return to normal after the gut is healed. And so diets like this will eliminate most dairy products unless it's a dairy product that has been fermented for a while, aged, like some cheeses that are aged will go over that. Because often the lactose is taken out or very little lactose is left in these products, and so they are much more gentle. However, there is an argument out there talking about raw milk and its benefits, and if you have ever followed Heal Your Gut Guy or Kenny Hannes, I think they both have ulcerative colitis, and they are very big advocates for raw milk. And the Heal Your Gut Guide talks about a diet called, I think it's the milk cure, something down that line. So according to him, the doctor behind the milk diet had over a 40-year career and healed 18,000 patients, of which most of them was gut disorders. So to my understanding, I've never read this book, but I've heard the theory that raw milk is healing, and because it hasn't been pasteurized, it doesn't lose its enzymes which help you digest the milk, and also a lot of its immune boosting properties. There's a lot of good probiotics in raw milk, and when you pasteurize that, it takes all those benefits away, and that is what causes issues with people. And so the argument is that raw milk is very healing, and I have never tried that myself, but I just wanted to throw it out there. There's concepts out there from different people that raw milk is a cure. I do believe that raw milk has many benefits, but I personally have never fully tried just the milk diet where all I drink is raw milk. Maybe I should try sometime, see what happens. But I just wanted to throw it out there. That is not SCD diet approved, but it is a viewpoint that makes sense to me because of the probiotics found in milk. The enzymes are still present in the milk to help you digest the milk, or the lactose, I should say. And so it's a valid argument. You could check into it if you want. But let's just move on a little bit more and talk about the SCD diet itself, and many diets similar to this, I'm guessing, would kind of fall under this category as far as the types of foods they allow that are dairy. So when we're talking about milks, creams, and butter, you can have plant-based milk such as coconut or almond milk, and you can also have ghee or like grass-fed butter. That is allowed. Now in the future, I plan to make a video on how to make ghee. One of the first things that these diets allow is ghee, and it can definitely kind of add flavor back into your diet, especially if you're eating some greens and you can pour some of that over it. I think it's very tasty, and it's much more gentle on the stomach. Now on the SCD diet, milk from animals is not allowed, and they actually don't permit kefir either, although they do allow yogurt if you make it the way I talk about on this channel, 24-hour yogurt. But let's talk about kefir a little bit. This is one place where I would veer away a little bit. Like I use the SCD diet kind of as my foundation, but I think kefir is a huge healing proponent for the gut because it is so chock full of probiotics. But then again, there may be people that can't handle it. And it's definitely, you know, if you have a real sensitive gut, you want to be really careful with that. I believe it's the GAPS diet that does allow kefir, but don't quote me on that. So you kind of have to figure out what works for you and what doesn't. But on the SCD diet, kefir is not permitted. But for me personally, once you get out of a flare and start getting back on track, I think it's a good thing to take. And so basically, you can have no milk or cream-based products unless you have something like your 24-hour yogurt like I talk about on this channel. So let's talk a little bit about the 24-hour yogurt. I know I talk about it different times, but basically when you culture yogurt, and if you culture it for 24 hours instead of like your typical 8 to 12 hours, allowing yogurt to culture for 24 hours allows all the probiotics to eat up the lactose in the milk, and so you're left with very little lactose that the majority of people that are dairy intolerant can handle. And it's very soothing and healing. It's full of probiotics, which our gut needs to get our microbiome back in balance. All right, let's move on to cheeses. So basically, hard cheeses aged over 90 days are permitted. Most of your soft cheeses are not permitted, like American, like your processed cheeses, but they definitely recommend that you look on the packaging and see how long the cheese has been aged, and if it's over your 90 days, then you can eat that. And things like cheddar are usually over that time period. So you can have no soft cheeses except like your dry cured cottage cheese, which is I think similar, or you can also have like the farmer's cheese that I make. I'm not sure, maybe it's the same thing, but I have a recipe for that as well. I have linked up here somewhere, and I find it very tasty. I like it. It's very easy to make, and so that's another thing that they do permit. If you are buying cheeses, raw cheeses will automatically meet the SCD requirements. So if you can find raw unpasteurized cheese, that's an automatic go ahead for you to have. Another good tip that I actually am not following, and I need to, is to always buy blocks of cheese and shred it yourself, because often when we buy shredded cheese from the store, it has anti-caking agents in it, which isn't very healthy. Another good thing to do is look at the nutrition label. If there's 0 grams of sugar in the cheese, then the cheese is lactose free or only contains a trace of lactose, so you should be good there. Now, one thing to keep in mind is just because cheese or like a dairy product, say like your yogurt, is lactose free, it doesn't mean that all people can tolerate it, because most people that are dairy intolerant are intolerant to the lactose in milk, but there are people that are intolerant to the casein protein found in milk. So it's suggested that in some cases milk intolerance could be because of a protein called A1B casein, if I have my things straight here, and it's a type of protein found in milk that some people react to. And so there's a type of milk called A2, I believe, milk that you can purchase that doesn't have this protein in, and those types of people can tolerate that milk. Often I think it comes from Jersey cows. It has to be a cow with certain genetics that produce this type of milk. And if you live in a state that permits the sale of raw milk, you may be able to find this, and your local farmer or distributor, whoever that sells this, will likely know what you're talking about if you ask for A2 milk. So people that are intolerant to dairy, it's most likely lactose, but it could also be and/or the A1B casein protein. I think I'm saying this all correctly. I might be a little bit off, but so if you could use A2 milk for your cheeses and your yogurt, this will definitely be the best option, and definitely for people that can't tolerate the A1 casein protein, whatever it is. Now, another thing I talk so much about, it's important to be constantly eating foods high in probiotics to get the good microbes in our gut built up, so that we can keep a healthy balance. I believe that the majority of people that struggle with IBS, IBD, ulcerative colitis, Crohn's, we have a pretty bad microbiome imbalance. And so for me personally, what I believe is helping me the most is trying to daily intake probiotic foods, and I mix it with my colostrum, which is another probiotic. That seems to be really helping me. It is a very, very, very hot summer, and I have never done this well throughout a summer in probably 3 years or so, something like that. And so I just count it a huge blessing. This is one of the best summers I've had in so long, where I can actually go outside and enjoy. I even went out and played softball the other day in a very, very hot day. I was thinking I probably shouldn't, but I did, and so life has been really good for me the last while, and praise God for it. I just hope it continues, and I hope that what I'm doing right now will continue working. So back to the microbes. There are actually a lot of microbes in cheese. So cheese is a good way to get more of your probiotics. So I found some things online. I'm not sure how accurate they are or not, but I'm just going to read them. It says each piece of cheese contains as many as 10 billion microbes, and I'm not sure how big of a piece of cheese that is. They may increase your gut microbiome diversity and richness, a good thing since cheese microbes make it through the digestive tract. And then of course there's yogurt. Yogurt is permitted as long as it's not store-bought yogurt. It has to be your homemade yogurt, 24-hour yogurt, Once again, links to that video above. I'll try to have links below as well. I've talked about it before, I'm not going to dive into it, but it's so good, and I try to eat it every single day. I make a smoothie out of it, just to try to have something to continually be eating high probiotic food. I also try to eat sauerkraut some throughout the day. That's another really good source of probiotics. And try to take my colostrum every day. And that leads me to the last thing. I talk about colostrum a fair amount on this channel, and the question often comes up, well, colostrum is a milk product, right? And so can I handle it if I'm dairy intolerant? And so this goes back to a little bit what I was talking about before. Colostrum is a pre-milk, so it's technically not really a milk, and there's very minor traces of lactose in it. So the majority of people that are dairy intolerant can handle colostrum, but there may be a very few that still can't. But for the most part, colostrum is not technically a milk. Just a quick overview again, colostrum does a good job at rebuilding your gut lining. It feeds your good gut bacteria, tries to keep that all in balance. It helps build up your thymus gland, which by the way deteriorates as we get older, and it helps build that up, and that is what's in charge of fighting off like disease-causing cells like cancer, and just boosts your immune system. It has rich macronutrients, vitamins, minerals, vitamins like B vitamins, A, C, and E vitamins as well. So it has lactoferrin in it. I'm just going to read this off. Lactoferrin is a protein involved in your body's immune response to infections, including those caused by bacteria and viruses. It has growth factors and hormones that stimulate growth, and it's also rich in antibodies, which your immune system uses to fight off these viruses and diseases. And just as a side note, it's just so much fun to hear from all the people on this channel that I get in contact through with email that have tried colostrum. Some people they haven't seen much difference in, but there's quite a few that have pretty incredible life-changing stories. They're so inspiring, and I want to share more of them on this channel. I just haven't gotten around to it, and I need to get permission from those that have shared with me as well. It has been incredible for me, and it's just amazing to see how it's changing other people's lives as well. But anyway, enough about all that. I just wanted to cover some of the things I have learned about dairy, what the SCD diet allows and doesn't allow, and kind of my take on that as well. My suggestion is if you decide to go the route of like the SCD diet, GAPS, or FODMAP, that you follow it just as they suggest, and then as you continue to heal and get better, maybe you can experiment a little bit yourself. Because I personally think kefir is an incredible tool for healing, for replenishing your good gut bacteria. And so the fact that the SCD diet does not permit kefir, I can understand. It's a very potent probiotic, and you have to be super careful with it. But you know, there's a few things like that that I might shift around. You know, grains technically aren't permitted, but you know, when you study into it and realize that there's some really ancient grains you can use that your body actually might be able to tolerate. I need to make some videos on that as well sometime. And so there's some things like that that I think we can veer away from a little bit sometimes on the SCD diet, but each person has to kind of experiment with what works for them and what doesn't. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching. I plan to be making a video on how to make your own homemade ghee sometime. I know a lot of you have been requesting that I make more recipe videos, and I do hope to do that. I am really busy right now. I'm sorry my videos haven't been coming very regular. As you can see, we are renovating our house, and it is summertime and just a really busy time. No excuse, but I am pretty busy right now, so making recipe videos definitely takes a little while and some prep work, so I haven't been doing that. But I hope you all have a good day. I hope you're staying well, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.